This is Saintair International Speedway near Montreal, Quebec, the site of the opening round of the Canadian Superbike Championship, the Suzuki Superbike Challenge for the Castrol Cup. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a warm and sunny Saintair International Speedway for the first of our 6-race series to determine which rider will be the 1990 Canadian Superbike champion. This should be a very competitive and hotly contested series this year, with 2 former champions battling a number of returning series veterans and some very talented rookies. Craig Hill from Castrol will be joining us. And Craig, the Canadian Superbike riders have not been idle over the winter months.
Oh, no, a lot of them have been riding internationally, Pat. And you know, you mentioned earlier about the series, and it's indicative of a change of the guard in the 90s. I'm certain of that. Steve Crevier, our last year's champion, our Castrol champion from last year, he rode exceptionally well down in Mexico City. And as a result, he's now got to ride with the Yoshimura Suzuki team, and he's gone on to some very good international racing.
Well, the traditional start of the racing season at Daytona saw Steve Crevier, along with Miguel Duhamel, Gary Goodfellow, Ruben McMurder, and young Jacques Gannett, heading a strong Canadian contingent. Many were predicting at least the Canadian top 3 finish or even perhaps a win. But that all came unglued in the qualifying heats, where both Crevier and Duhamel crashed. Gary Goodfellow was simply not competitive, and Ruben McMurder fell in turn 1 while running in 6th early in the race. That left the top Canadian spot to Jacques Gannett, who finished in 9th.
And Pat, because Steve Crevier is now contracted with the Yoshimura team, he'll be unable to ride in our championship, which opens right here at Saintair, Quebec today. And then the series travels to Atlantic Motorsport Park near Halifax, Nova Scotia. And next it's on to the first of 2 visits to Shannonville Motorsport Park in Ontario, then Race City Speedway in Calgary, Alberta, Westwood Motorsport Park near Vancouver, and the final will be back at Shannonville. Pat had a chance earlier today to look at some of the championship hopefuls and their bikes.
This is the Yamaha OW01 750 that took Steve Crevier to the Canadian Superbike Championship in 1989. This season, it'll be ridden by Saint-Jérôme, Quebec's Benoit Pilon, who's been very impressive in 2 early season outings prior to the National here at Saintair. This Yamaha is one of the fastest machines around the world in superbike racing. This year at Daytona, in fact, it was topping out at 175 miles an hour. The speeds won't be that quick here at Saintair. Benoit will carry one of our onboard Sony Handycams that should give us some great pictures of the superbike action. Honda's hopes for the #1 plate ride with number 24 Ruben McMurder of London, Ontario, the 1988 Canadian champion. He'll have a pair of updated Honda RC30s for his assault on the championship. Ruben will again have highly respected tuner Rick Tomasic preparing his superbikes, which should be among the fastest in the series. Miguel Duhamel of Verdun, Quebec will ride this Suzuki GSXR 750 in this year's Canadian Superbike Championships. A year ago here at Saintair, Miguel turned in a dramatic last lap, last corner pass on Steve Crevier to win the opening round. Round number 2 at Shubenacadie saw a similar move by Duhamel, this time on Ruben McMurder. Miguel appeared on his way to the championship, but a crash in Japan while testing for the Suzuka 8-hour ended his season. Miguel is back, he is fit, he is fast, and will be one of the riders going for that #1 plate. Michel Mercier won back-to-back Superbike titles for Suzuki in 1986 and 87. This year, he's made the switch to Yamaha on one of the very fast OW01 750s. Mercier has found that determination and hard-charging style again, and has Rick Hobbs preparing his machines. Hobbs was the man who spent last year tuning for Steve Crevier, and his experience with the Yamaha 750 will be invaluable to Mercier's championship aspirations. This is the Kawasaki ZX 750 that will be ridden by Barrie, Ontario's Lindley Clark. Clark has taken over the ride from retired veteran Norm Murphy, who ran this machine a year ago. How well this bike will do in the series will depend on how quickly team manager Kip Harrison and mechanic Harold Surian can get a lot of the technology and development work that has been done on this bike in the United States here to Canada. They don't expect their best efforts to come until the latter half of the season, and they look to round 3 at Shannonville as the race where they hope to shine. This is the Yamaha OW01 750 that will be ridden by 20-year-old Jacques Gannett of Laval, Quebec. This bike a year ago was ridden by Swedish rider Anders Andersson in the World Superbike Series. Now, Jacques Gannett has done a lot of racing in the United States over the winter months, so he is ready for the Canadian season. But Gannett is just one of a number of young riders moving on the national scene to challenge the established stars. There's Granby, Quebec's Pascal Picot and Michael Taylor from Toronto. And add to that a number of veteran riders who return to the series like Tommy Douglas and another newcomer, John Cornwell, who'll be on a Suzuki. And we'll be back at Saintair with our first race of the afternoon, the Pro 600 production final, and then a little later on, our feature race, the Suzuki Superbike Challenge for the Castrol Cup. Don't go away. We'll be back with some exciting road racing action from Saintair in a moment. Welcome back to Saintair International Speedway and the Suzuki Superbike Challenge for the Castrol Cup. Motorcycles are on the starting grid for the first of our two races here today, the Pro 600 production final. Yesterday in qualifying, Yves Brisson set a new qualifying record. He'll start from the pole. The rest of the front row has John Ramsey, Pascal Picot, and Denis Royer. Now here's Craig Hill.
And as Pat said, Brisson has the pole, and it's equally split between Hondas and Yamahas. Row 2 has Douglas, Wykes, and the East Coast rider McDonald on a Kawasaki. Row 3 sees a couple of Kawasaki riders, Clark and Johnson ahead of Wilson and Klassen on Yamahas.
On row number 4, it's American Gary DeLucio, Robert Zerbisis, and David Harris. Row number 5, Mark Green, Kowalski, Chuck Downey of Alberta, and Manitoba's Dwight McKinley. Row number 6, Steve Longstaff, Peter First, and Phil Whetstone. Riders revving up those 600cc production machines. Pascal Picot, number 21, off quickly. 85, Denis Royer, number 13, Yves Brisson, and 99, John Ramsey, all vying for the lead. It's a drag race down the straightaway to turn number 1. Picot on the outside will take the lead. Going into turn 1, Ramsey comes through on the inside very nicely to grab that second place position on the Honda. But Picot, 21 there on the Yamaha, already opening up a lead here on lap number 1. They come through the chicane. It is 21 Picot, 99 Ramsey, 13 Brisson, and 85 Denis Royer going side by side for third. But Craig, Picot is off to a very, very quick start after having to really battle in yesterday's qualifying heat.
Pat, this young rider has really come onto his own this year. He's doing an excellent job in production, and I'm certain he'll do well in Superbike, too.
At the end of the long drag strip straightaway, back into the hairpin, it is Picot, your leader, but on the inside, Yves Brisson, number 13, has come through into the second place position. Ramsey trying to battle back. So it's the Hondas of Brisson and Ramsey running in second and third, trying to chase down this man, number 21, the 20-year-old, the Granby Flyer, Pascal Picot. And again, Ramsey knocking on the door as they come into the stock car oval, as Ramsey and Brisson continue to battle for that second place position. They come under the Castrol Bridge, 85, Denis Royer in fourth, and the rider back there in fifth is number 106, Clyde McDonald, on one of those Kawasaki's. 26, Lindley Clark in sixth, also on a Kawasaki, followed by Tommy Douglas. The leaders at the end of the straightaway, and again, Ramsey pushing hard for that second place position, but Brisson will hold him off. And here's that three-way battle for fifth. McDonald goes wide, and Lindley Clark, number 26, has come through in a fifth. Tommy Douglas now battling for the sixth place position. Douglas is all over 106 McDonald for that spot.
I had a chance to talk to Tommy earlier, Pat. Tommy told me that his Yamaha this year just doesn't seem to have the same punch as last year's. Last year's bike, he called it a real rocket ship, but he seems to be down a little bit on power this year. He's not sure why.
Greg, I think a couple of the reasons why Tommy's had a little tougher time of it this year is the fact that he doesn't have his longtime tuner and mechanic, Gord Hubble, working with him this year. And the other fact, of course, is the fact that the Hondas and the Kawasaki's are both a lot stronger. At the end of the straightaway, you saw Picot going through. Here's that battle for second place. 13 Brisson, 99 Ramsey, then it's 85 Royer. There's Lindley Clark, number 26 in fifth. There is Tommy Douglas on the Yamaha, up now into the sixth place position, followed by the Nova Scotia rider number 106, Clyde McDonald. And they're having a whale of a battle back there for fifth, sixth, and seventh, as Picot, number 21, continues to command this race. There's that race we were talking about for fifth. There is the number 88 machine of Dan Johnson in the eighth place spot, and then 14 there, Steve Wykes, was running back in ninth. Pascal Picot, number 21, continues to stretch out that lead. Here is Brisson, 13, Ramsey to the inside, right up alongside of Brisson. He will move into second. Ramsey has overshot the hairpin into the hay bales. John slowed the machine right up, but he will lose several stops as he's right back on that Honda. He'll get it turned around. He must now wait for a break in the traffic. John Ramsey back in the event, but I think he has dropped well out of the top 10 right now, Craig.
Well, that's experience, Pat. He knew he was into the corner too hot. What he did is he didn't bother to lean the bike over. And there are the standings with Picot way out in front of Brisson, Royer, Clark, and Douglas. Then it's McDonald, Wykes, Johnson, Peter Wilson, and Deluzio. And Pat, as you said earlier, there is a good mix of brands up there.
Number 2, Tommy Douglas, 26, Lindley Clark will take over that 4th place position. But here's Douglas. He'll retake the spot coming out of the hairpin.
Well, Tommy's looking more competitive now, but earlier I had a chance to talk to rider Clyde McDonald about Kawasaki's 1990 machine.
It has pretty good power. It's a big improvement over last year's 600. It seems to have a lot of power. We have a few problems to sort out as far as the suspension goes. We're still running stock rear shock. A little bit of ground clearance problem there, but the front end is definitely a little problem yet. We plan on doing a few more changes and hope that we can get her sorted out before the race this afternoon.
Tommy Douglas, number 2, continues to hold on to that 4th place position. Now moving up into 5th is the number 14 machine of Steve Wykes. Then it is 26, Lindley Clark, now who has dropped back into 6th in a crash at the hairpin. That is number 88. It is Dan Johnson on the Kelly's Kawasaki, has fallen at the hairpin. Dan appears to be okay. He'll try to push that motorcycle off the racetrack, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get back into the event. He will. Dan Johnson will continue. He will lose a few positions, but the rider from Oakville back in the race. 21, Pascal Picot has taken the last lap flag into the hairpin now for the final time. And Picot waving to the fans in the grandstand at the hairpin. Here's your 2nd place rider, number 13, Yves Brisson. Here's that battle going on for 4th on the inside. Number 14, Steve Wykes. No, Tommy Douglas shuts the door. Douglas really being pressured for that 4th place position by 2nd-year pro rider Steve Wykes, who's all over him.
And look at this kid, Pat, just cruising home in front of the hometown crowd. He's got no problems at all out there today.
Pascal Picot waving to the corner workers as he comes through turn number 7. Just 1 corner to go. Picot under the Castrol Bridge, out of turn number 8, the checkered flag out at the line. Picot pulls a big wheelie as he brings the Yamaha to the stripe. He will take the checkered flag for the win. Here's that race for 4th out of the final corner. Tommy Douglas, number 2 on the Yamaha, will hold on to finish in 4th. Steve Wykes, number 14, will be right behind him in 5th. And there are your standings. Picot the winner, followed by Brisson, Royer, Tommy Douglas, and Steve Wykes rounding out the top 5. Back in the 6th place position, it's Lindley Clark on the Kawasaki, then Clyde McDonald, American Gary Deluzio, John Ramsey got up to finish 9th, and Peter Wilson.
And there's Michel Mercier as he prepares himself for our feature event, the Suzuki Superbike Challenge for the Castrol Cup, coming up next, so don't go away.
The Saintair International Speedway and the Suzuki Superbike Challenge for the Castrol Cup. The riders have completed their warm-up laps. They're now moving into position on the starting grid. Michel Mercier won a hard-fought Superbike qualifying race yesterday. He'll go from the pole. 3 riders in the back to watch. 107, John Cornwell. 24, Ruben McMurder. And another rider, 163, Benoit Pilon. They'll be charging to the front. Now here's Craig Hill with the starting grid.
And as Pat said, on the pole, the likable Michel Mercier on his Yamaha OW01750. Next to him from Granby, which is almost next door to this track, is Pascal Picot on another Yamaha. Third is the youngest of the Duhamel dynasty, Miguel on a Suzuki GSXR. And the last man on the front row is another Yamaha rider, Lavelle's Jacques Gannett Jr.
Starting on the inside of row number 2 is Lindley Clark on the Kawasaki, Michael Taylor, also on a Kawasaki, and Jeff Gaynor. Row number 3, Griffiths, Medallia, Brisson, and Nova Scotia's John Ramsey. It is number 29, Richard Nelson in row 4, along with Clyde McDonald and Peter Marsh. Row number 5, all Suzukis, Savard, Wykes, McNeil, and Mark Brisson. Row number 6, Dwight McKinley, and in the middle of the row, Ruben McMurder, who missed the qualifying heat yesterday with mechanical problems, the reason he's starting at the back. Row number 7, American Gary DeLucio, Mike Marcelli, Mike Walsh, and John Cornwell. There is problems with the number 97 machine of Miguel Duhamel. He's being pushed off the starting grid. The officials will not allow him to move in. to his assigned position on the front row. And there you can see it from the onboard Sony Handycam on Benoit Pilon's machine. So Duhamel has been pushed off the grid. He will have to start after the field, and the field is away. 11, Mercier, 21, Pascal Picot, side by side on the straightaway. Here comes 999 Gannett down to the inside, but into the hairpin off the start. It'll be 11, Michel Mercier with the lead. From the onboard Sony Handycam on Benoit Pilon's machine, you can see Ruben McMurder, number 24, moving around. Jeff Gaynor just flashed across his front wheel. Through the chicane, it is 11, Mercier, your leader, 21, Picot. As the rest of the field comes through, there's 97, Miguel Duhamel. He's already passed about 3 or 4 machines.
Oh, what a tough break for Duhamel, Pat, having to start after the field has left. He got penalized because he stalled his bike on the grid. They had to restart it, and that's a no-no in races rules. But has he ever got the wick turned up right now?
Michel Mercier, number 11, leading as they head down the straightaway. And now you go on board with John Cornwell's rear-mounted camera, that Sony Handycam, showing just how quick Duhamel's bike was. He just blew right by Cornwell's machine on the long drag strip straightaway as they go back into the hairpin. It's still 11, Michel Mercier leading the field, 21, Picot in second, 999, Jacques Gannett in third, and rookie Mike Taylor, number 15, having a whale of a ride back there in the 4th place position on the Kawasaki. They come through the chicane. It's still Yamaha's running 1, 2, 3. There's McMurder. He is up into the 5th place spot, and then 26 Lindley Clark, and there's 97 Duhamel. He is just passing riders left and right all over the racetrack, and number 107 John Cornwell carrying that onboard Sony Handycam, having a pretty good run back there with Clyde McDonald.
Well, look at this, the teacher and the pupil running right together here, Pat. Picot is really taking some lessons today from Mercier, and they've got those bikes running extremely well.
Picot closing up as they go into the hairpin. Here's that battle for 4th. McMurder, number 24, has put the Shoei Helmets RC30 Honda into the 4th place position, and Ruben has had a great run from the back of the grid up into 4th, and 106 Clyde McDonald has slowed on the straightaway. It looks like he will park the Suzuki. The battle for the lead really heating up now. Just a couple of bike lengths separating the 2 teammates, 11 Michel Mercier and number 21 Pascal Picot, as they continue to battle right around the racetrack. There are your standings. Mercier, Picot, Gannett, Yamaha's 1, 2, 3, McMurder and Douglas round out the top 5. And then it is Clark, Pilon, Duhamel up to 8th now on the Kawasaki, Michael Taylor and Jeff Gaynor. Off the end of the drag strip straightaway, they work it down through the gearbox into the hairpin, and just a bike length now, separating Mercier and Picot. 999, Jacques Gannett in 3rd, and now from the onboard Sony Handycam on Benoit Pilon's machine, you see Miguel Duhamel, number 97, picking up yet another position. So Duhamel continues his tremendous charge towards the front. 11, Mercier, 21, Picot. Already coming up on some slower riders. Picot on the inside, and Mercier shuts the door. He will hold on to the lead. 999, Gannett in 3rd. Then it's 24, McMurder 4th, number 2, Tommy Douglas 5th, and Duhamel, Craig, all the way up into 6th, followed by Lindley Clark on the Kawasaki.
Well, Duhamel's got the bit between his teeth now, Pat. He sees the front of that race, and he's trying to get right up front along with McMurder. So we're going to expect some big things from these two before this race is out.
Well, a great 3-way battle here for 4th. 24, McMurder on the Honda. Number 2, Tommy Douglas on the Yamaha. And then a little bit further back, 97, Duhamel. The leaders go through. And as you said, they're working their way through the slower traffic. There's Gannett, your 3rd place rider. Here's the battle for 4th. McMurder, 24, 97, Duhamel just about side by side as they came into the hairpin. McMurder, 24, will hold on to the position. Duhamel now up into 5th, and Tommy Douglas being pushed back into the 6th place position. Remember, these 2 riders had some very, very close battles a year ago into the stock car oval. McMurder will hold on to the position, but Duhamel is right on the rear tire of McMurder as they come under the Castrol Bridge. A little further back, Lindley Clark, number 26 in 7. Right behind him, 163, Benoit Pilon in 8. With that Sony Handycam aboard, giving us some tremendous pictures of the action. Michel Mercier leads them back into the hairpin. He's led since the opening lap. Going around yet another slower rider. Picot is right there. And here comes McMurder and Duhamel. Duhamel moves into 4th at the end of the straightaway. A beautiful pass by Miguel Duhamel. Now he runs wide. McMurder pulls up alongside it. Oh, Duhamel goes down. Miguel Duhamel has crashed. Coming out of the hairpin, Duhamel is up to his feet. The yellow caution flags are out. Duhamel running over, trying to retrieve that motorcycle that is off onto the grass. The corner workers try to help him pick up the machine.
Well, there's the race officials having a little conference about it, but let's look at it again here, Pat. What happens is Duhamel gets in hot, McMurdo tries to take advantage of it, get in on the inside, and I think they both ran out of racetrack.
Well, as McMurdo accelerated out of the hairpin, he definitely contacted with Duhamel, who gets the worst of the contact as he goes down and takes a pretty hard tumble.
So there it is, with teammates Mercier and Picot leading the Suzuki Superbike Challenge for the Castrol Cup. We'll take a pause for these messages. International Speedway outside of Montreal and the Suzuki Superbike Challenge for the Castrol Cup. I'm Craig Hill along with Pat Gonzalez, and Pat, this first race for the Canadian Superbike Championship has been an all Yamaha affair so far.
Certainly has, Craig. There's the man who leads the Yamaha parade at the front, 11, Michel Mercier, the two-time Canadian Superbike champion, now in command of the race as he comes up now to take the blue and white last lap flag. Mercier making a quick check over his shoulder. There is Ruben McMurdo, number 24, as he takes a quick peek over the left shoulder as he comes up to move on to his final lap. Mercier, your leader, 21, Picot in second. Then we have 99, Ramsey, a lap rider. Then another lap rider in 62, Derek Medaglia. Yet another lap man in number 13, Yves Brisson. And then the third place Yamaha machine of 999, Jacques Gannett. Miguel Duhamel and Ruben McMurdo, of course, involved in that incident earlier. Duhamel has retired to the paddock, but here is Michel Mercier, number 11, as he comes under the Castrol Bridge. He has really turned in a marvelous ride here on that Rick Hobbs prepared Yamaha OW01 750. Mercier to the line. The checkered flag is out as he goes start to finish for the win. Here's the battle now for the 7th place position. Number 2, Tommy Douglas will take the checkered flag for 7th. Right behind was 107, John Cornwell.
And a great shot of our happy winner, Michel Mercier, followed by Picot, Gannett, and Ruben McMurdo. Ruben, who was involved in that come-off with Duhamel, and then Lindley Clark on the ex-Norm Murphy Kawasaki in 5th. 6th is Pilon, Douglas, John Cornwell, rookie Michael Taylor, and Jeff Gaynor. And here's Pat Gonzalez with the presentation.
We're at the victory podium here at Saintair. First, I'd like to introduce the president of race, Alan LaBrosse, who will make the presentations to our top 3 riders here this afternoon. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, third in our opening round of the Castrol Superbike Championships, Jacques Gannett. In second place, Pascal Picot. And your Superbike winner, Michel Mercier. That's it from Saintair. Michel Mercier wins the opening round. We'll see you for round number 2 from Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia at Atlantic Motorsport Park. For Craig Hill, I'm Pat Gonzalez saying so long for now.